Hello. I hope you're having a good day. Today we'll talk about a story in which mercenaries infiltrate a secret laboratory and come face to face with the results of horrific experiments involving human and alien DNA. So today we'll be looking at the movie called The Hybrid. The opening scene introduces a mercenary named Jim Powell, who is imprisoned at Black Beach Prison in sub-Saharan Africa. One day he is released because a corporation wants to hire him for a mission. He must escort a scientist named Dr. Lila Healy to an old Soviet laboratory that is now fortified by a militia. It turns out that another scientist, Dr. Irvine, has been conducting secret research in the underground bunker of the fortress. Since the research has reached a very advanced stage, Jim is assigned the task of infiltrating the lab and retrieving all valuable assets before Dr. Irvine disappears. For this mission, Jim is accompanied by his old team, including soldiers Steinman, Mason, and Corey, as well as engineers Harris and Williams. Jim is not happy to learn that a corporate security officer named Spencer will be joining them, but he cannot refuse, as Dr. Lila is in charge of the operation. After this, the mercenaries head out on their mission, making their way through a forest. Jim urges the team to be extremely careful, as he suspects the area is littered with landmines. Along the way, they hear the noise of a motorcycle. Sensing imminent danger, Jim orders everyone to clear the path and hide in the minefield. Moments later, a perimeter patrol officer appears and scans the area before continuing on his way. After some walking, the mercenary group arrives at the laboratory building and discovers that the militia has imprisoned several civilians. According to Steinman, the militia leader, a dictator, douses the prisoners with oil and sets them on fire for fun. Harris and Williams attempt to infiltrate the camp while the rest of the team takes sniper positions from a distance. When Harris and Williams reach the gate, the camp guards stop them. Williams then speaks to them in Russian, claiming to be a technician. However, his Russian accent fails to convince the guards, so Harris decides to take matters into his own hands. He pretends to be drunk and improvises an anti-Russian rant in Georgian. While the other mercenaries grow tense, the camp leader responds positively and allows the two inside. Once inside, Williams and Harris take control of the base's security system and remotely guide the rest of the team to the underground bunker. As the team sneaks into the fortress, they come across a room where a half-naked woman is hanging from the ceiling, with tape covering her mouth. At this point, the team faces a dilemma, as they can't decide whether to rescue her or leave her behind. Jim insists that no matter what they do, the militia will eventually learn about the intrusion. In the middle of their deliberation, they hear approaching footsteps. They immediately switch off the lights and take attack positions. As soon as a guard enters, the team grabs him and begins to strangle him. In a desperate attempt to fight back, the guard opens fire, but the mercenaries manage to kill him. They then turn on the lights only to find that one of the bullets struck the captured woman, causing her death. The group now worries that the guards will suspect an infiltration. Shortly afterward, Spencer comes up with an idea to avoid suspicion. He removes the pants from the dead guard and unties the captured woman, staging the scene to look like a sexual assault. After this incident, the group of mercenaries descends into the underground laboratory. Meanwhile, in the control room, the same perimeter patrol officer approaches Williams and Harris. She asks what they're doing, to which Williams pretends they're fixing monitor cables. She becomes suspicious about the sudden arrival of technicians, but doesn't confront them yet. Elsewhere, the rest of the mercenaries delve deeper into the underground bunker with torches and guns in hand. At one point, Steinman feels like someone is following them but finds no immediate threat. However, Williams and Harris, who are monitoring their teammates, spot someone on the surveillance feed. They try to alert the group but can't reach them due to poor underground radio signals. Thinking of an alternative, Harris decides to head into the bunker himself to warn them in person. Shortly afterward, Corey, who is guarding the rear, is ambushed by a silent attacker who stabs him with a syringe before vanishing into the darkness. In a panic, Corey opens fire, but no one is around. Alerted by the gunfire, the group returns to Corey. who informs them of someone else's presence but doesn't reveal that he was stabbed with the syringe. Jim orders them to ignore the attacker and proceed cautiously, as there's no time to investigate. Soon after, Corey begins to feel very ill due to the harmful contents of the syringe. He quickly develops a fever and his body overheats, eventually causing him to fall behind without the others noticing. As the group navigates a series of dark tunnels, they are suddenly ambushed by masked assailants who attempt to stab them with syringes, just like what happened to Corey. In the middle of the fight, Harris appears and begins shooting the attackers one by one. Unfortunately, the last remaining assailant shoots him in the stomach before the other mercenaries neutralize the threat. After a while, they finally reach the laboratory, where they are met with a grim sight: several corpses lying on the ground. They also discover a trap, a laser tripwire set to alert the guards in case of a breach. After carefully inspecting the area, they tend to Harris's wound and leave him to rest on a bed, while the remaining team members embark on a search for Dr. Irvine. They soon find Irvine in a deeper section of the lab, conducting experiments on a young girl. In a surprising turn of events, Dr. Irvine greets Lila and reveals that the latter was once her assistant. Shocked, Jim asks about the girl's identity, and the doctor tells him she's one of the specimens named Ali. At this point, it's revealed that Lila's main objective in this mission is to retrieve two specimens, Ali and Goethe. These revelations enrage Jim, who then confronts Lila for withholding information. He blames her for what happened to Harris and Corey, and demands that they leave immediately. Nonetheless, Lila refuses, arguing that Specimen Ali is pregnant and that moving her in such a condition could be fatal. After this, Jim threatens Dr. Irvine by demanding she explain everything that's happening in the lab. In response, the doctor begins to unveil all the secrets left behind by Soviet scientists. First, she shows them a 2.4-billion-year-old meteorite that, according to her, was buried in the permafrost for 70 million years. She says the rock contains several organic materials such as cells, DNA, and genes. When the Soviet scientists discovered it, they needed world-class experts to extract its contents, and that's when they approached Dr. Irvine. They lured her in with promises of unrestricted research, free from any ethical or legal constraints. She created two hybrid creatures by combining human DNA with the meteorite's contents. Dr. Irvine then takes them to a special facility where she has kept Goethe, a male hybrid with horrifying eyes. According to her, these hybrids are only 5 years old but have already reached sexual maturity. She has raised them herself. The offspring of the pregnant girl will be a second-generation subject, expected to be even more bizarre than Goethe and Ali. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted when Ali begins to experience labor pains. Feeling the urgency of the situation, Dr. Irvine prepares for delivery. Despite her attempts to ease Ali's pain with anesthesia and analgesics, nothing works on the hybrid. After multiple failed attempts, the doctor concludes that Ali won't survive much longer and proceeds to secure the offspring. Irvine's insensitivity toward the young girl's suffering deeply disturbs Steinman. Unable to watch her die in agony, she shoots Ali, freeing her from the painful death. Witnessing this, Dr. Irvine states that Steinman has caused the loss of valuable assets. However, Steinman remains so enraged that she lashes out at the doctor. Before things get worse, Jim pulls Steinman away from the scene and suggests she take some time alone to calm her nerves. Later, Lila orders Jim to kill Dr. Irvine, claiming her and her work are now useless. Jim strictly refuses and asserts that he is not a murderer. He then tells Mason to prepare to leave, but Mason suddenly attacks him. Here it is revealed that Harris and Mason had already struck a deal with Lila, who offered them a fortune after the mission. Meanwhile, Steinman heads to Goethe's room to inform him that his companion no longer exists. However, she realizes too late that the hybrid is hostile and has hidden a weapon. He suddenly attacks her and throws her to the ground, breaking her limbs. Goethe then heads to the operating room, interrupting the chaos among the mercenaries. In an unexpected turn of events, he uses his advanced weapon to blow Irvine's head off before fleeing the scene. After this event, Jim and Mason reconcile, as there's no longer any conflict about whether to kill Irvine. They then go looking for Steinman, only to find her mangled body. With the shared goal of neutralizing the threat, Jim, Mason, and Spencer set off in search of Goethe, while Lila decides to stay behind to care for Steinman. Minutes after they leave, Lila reveals her evil intent by injecting the wounded Steinman with a lethal drug. She then heads to the medical center to kill Harris. As she prepares the same deadly drug, Harris reveals a loose grenade in his hand that explodes before she can react. The sound of the explosion reaches the trio, prompting Mason to go check. When he returns to the medical center, he is greeted by a grim scene: the lifeless bodies of Harris and Lila. Concerned for Steinman, he runs to her and finds her dead as well. Mason then returns to the remaining members of the group and reports the tragic events. Upon hearing this, Spencer suggests that since the mission has been a complete failure, they should now just leave together without worrying about any remaining objective. Spencer then leads them to an elevator that, according to him, is a secret escape route planned by Lila. As they ascend, Spencer rants and expresses his frustration over not receiving his payment. Shortly after, the trio is about to exit the elevator when they are ambushed by a mutated Corey, who instantly kills Spencer. He then attacks Mason, but Jim manages to shoot him to death. After this, Jim and Mason exit the tunnels and reach the fortress gate, only to find the militia guards engaged in a fierce shootout with Goethe. The two mercenaries finally reunite with Williams, who appears to have been brutally attacked by the militia. The trio takes shelter in a corner and watches as Goethe goes on a killing spree, taking out all militia members one by one. In a desperate attempt to neutralize the threat, Mason offers to sacrifice himself to give Jim a clear shot at Goethe. As he steps forward, Lila, who has survived the explosion, is revealed and shoots Jim before he can aim at Goethe. In swift retaliation, Williams grabs a shotgun and shoots Lila, killing her instantly. But at that moment, the hybrid slices Mason in half with a machete. Despite his wound, Jim approaches the hybrid and points his weapon at him. As he gets closer, Goethe urges him to pull the trigger, but Jim hesitates. As a result, the hybrid climbs up a wall and escapes the scene. In the final scene, Goethe is seen walking among a city crowd, disguised as a normal human being. I hope you enjoyed the video.